Hi everyone, my name is Katie and my goal is to empower and motivate each and every one of you to live your healthy, most balanced lifestyle possible. Now, I have not always had a positive relationship with food, and even to this day, I still struggle with having a good relationship with food. Now, to some of you who may not think about it too much or may not have a negative relationship with food sometimes, this may sound a little weird to you, but let me explain. In high school, I had an eating disorder, and so long story short, it was more or less of an obsession with healthy eating and with being perfect, and it was severe restriction to the point where I lost tons of weight, and it was not a healthy weight that I was at the time. When we have a negative relationship with food, no matter where it comes from, in order to get back to a healthy mindset and a healthy lifestyle, we need to rebuild that relationship with food so that we can be ultimately happy and ultimately healthy. If this sounds like you, then stay tuned and I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to have a more positive relationship with food. So my first tip is mindful and intuitive eating, and you may have heard me talk about this before in previous videos, but I really love the concept of mindfulness and intuitiveness because it helps us get more in touch with our body and get more in touch with what our body's signals are actually telling us. So in mindfulness, you pay attention to your senses like taste and smell and touch and the textures of foods, and you really give notice to all those senses, and this helps you realize when you're full versus when you're actually hungry. Intuitiveness, on the same note, is being in touch with when you're actually hungry and not eating just because you feel like it's the time of day when you should eat, or any outside external sources are telling you that it's time to eat, like maybe a poster of a piece of pizza or ice cream at a birthday party. You're not eating because of external sources. You're eating because you want to eat or you feel hungry. And you're eating because you love that food, not because you have to have that food or you feel like you're never gonna have that food again. So with mindfulness, it's just important to remember to be in the present moment when you're eating and pay attention to what you're actually doing when you're eating instead of being distracted by phones, TVs, or other things that may get in the way of us actually paying attention to food, because this goes a lot into the appreciation of our foods. If we aren't really paying attention to what we're eating, then we're not really appreciating it fully. And eating is something that we take for granted a lot. Good food is something that we take for granted a lot, so it's important to really sit and appreciate the food that you have. If you're watching this video, then you have access to a computer or a phone, so most likely you have access to some level of good food, and just remember to appreciate it because it is something that not everyone has to the same degree. Tip number 2 for having a positive relationship with food is stop with the unhealthy expectations. So we see stuff on Instagram, on Facebook, on other social media websites, and everything is filtered, everything is edited, everything is a snapshot of the most perfect point in someone's life that they are choosing to share with the world. You know, in some levels, this is a positive thing because we're really able to be in touch with people all around the world and see what everyone's up to. But in another sense, it's a negative thing because we're only seeing the positive things in someone else's life, and so we often compare it to ourselves. So if we see someone's perfect diet or perfect body or perfect skin on Instagram and we look at ourselves and we don't see that we look the same, then we start to panic and start to think that something's wrong with us. And really it's not. We are not Photoshopped, we're not filtered, we are human beings, and so are the people behind the camera that are on your social media pages as well. Those people are likely beautiful people in real life as well, but we are seeing them through an edited, filtered picture, and that's not telling us the whole story. They probably have pimples sometimes too. They probably have messy hair days too. They don't always look all dressed up and flawless either. So just keep this in mind. We all know it, but yet a lot of us still compare ourselves to Instagram pictures and models and wonder why we don't look like that. Keep it in mind, we're all human and we all have flaws, and some of our flaws really make us beautiful. When I was in middle school, I remember I absolutely hated my hair, I hated my skin, I hated everything about myself, and although I still struggle with some things that I don't like about myself, I've learned to really appreciate the things that make me unique and the things that make me different, because you know, everyone is unique and that's just a part of life. Number 3 is let go of the perfectionist mindset. This kind of goes with number 2 in a way. We tend to see a lot of what I eat in a day videos and pictures on Instagram that show us the foods that other people eat, and we are like, hey, I don't eat like that every day. I must have something wrong with me, or I should eat fruits and vegetables at every meal like this person, or why can't I meal prep like this person? I even find myself struggling to compare myself against other people and thinking that I have to be perfect with my diet as well. I am a dietetics student and I'm going to be a dietitian someday, and I really struggle with this because I feel like because of being a future dietitian, I should eat perfectly, and that's just not true either. No matter who you are, you never have to be perfect, and I think that's something that we all need to keep in mind. There's a really good book by Brene Brown that's called The Gifts of Imperfection, and it is an amazing book for any of you perfectionists out there that really shows why perfectionism is not realistic and not possible, and why we shouldn't want to strive to be perfect. And I really recommend that book because Brene Brown is a fantastic author, and she's really helped me get through a lot of my insecurities and issues with not liking myself or feeling down about myself. Number 4 is drop the toxic comparison game. It's really easy to compare ourselves to others in real life, on social media, in magazines, whatever it might be. There's so many things that make us all different and make our situations different. If we're trying to compare ourselves to other people, it's really just not going to be successful at all, because we are trying to compare ourselves to someone who has a different life, a different situation, and a different body than us. So I can want to be a 6-foot tall model that never gains a pound when I eat a whole cheesecake, but that's just not gonna happen because I don't have that metabolism. I don't have the same genetics. I don't have a body type, whatever. I am not the same person, and I shouldn't try to be like someone who is completely different than I am, because it's really all about loving yourself for exactly what you are. Really what we should be working on is improving ourselves, because we are the only thing that we can control, and we can't be someone else. We can only be us, and we can only be the best versions of us. So why not strive for that instead? Number 5 on my tips for having a healthier relationship with food is to embrace the big picture. So we can get really caught up in a day or a week that we've eaten poorly, or we can just obsess every single day and eat perfectly and just not be happy. When you look at the whole big picture of life, life is very food oriented because food is something that we have to eat. It's really hard when we have a bad relationship with food to live a healthy life overall, because we're so miserable every time we associate with food, which is, you know, from some of us 3 times a day, some of us 6 times a day. And if we're miserable constantly, in the big scheme of things, we're not going to be happy with life. You want to keep balance and health in mind, but you don't want it to be an all-consuming obsession. It's not meant to be that way. It's meant to be something that we keep in mind and that we really put on the forefront when we're thinking about our diet, but it's not, there's so much more to life than just eating a perfect diet or exercising an hour a day. You do exactly what works well for you and try to do it as much as possible. And if you fail, it's not really failing if you get back up and you continue to try to eat healthy, continue to work out, continue to go outside and get a little sun. It's not all about being perfect. It's just about doing it. You have to do it, and you have to do it consistently. And that's where people fall off. If you follow an eating plan or eat more fruits and vegetables for 1 week, you're likely not going to see a ton of a difference in 1 week. You're going to see a difference when you do it over months and years and decades. And you're really going to see it in the long run, but it's just something that you have to have faith that it's really making a big difference in your life. I hope some of these tips help. Sorry if I went a little deep on some of these, but I'm really passionate about having a positive relationship with food, because food is something that is in our lives every single day. And like I said, 3 to 6 times a day usually we're dealing with food. So if we have a negative relationship with food, then we're going to have an unhealthy lifestyle. So if you have any questions or comments, please comment down below. Tell me what your biggest struggle is with having a positive relationship with food. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you next time.
Hold up.